She buried my father under our house, and lied for decades. But someone else was hiding with her.
Never thought one old box buried under a loose wooden panel in my basement could flip my entire life upside down. But here we are. The day started like any other. I was cleaning the basement, trying to find my old college yearbooks, when I noticed the panel under the stairs was slightly uneven. I pried it up, and underneath was a small dusty metal box with no lock, just rust around the edges. Curiosity took over, and I opened it. Inside was a cassette tape labeled May 1998 in shaky handwriting, and a folded note yellowed with age. I turned the note over and all it said was for Thomas. My hands started trembling because that was my name, and May 1998 was the month my father disappeared. The story my mother always told me was that he left us, walked out one night and never came back. I was only 5 then, so I accepted it as truth. But this tape, this message, it cracked something open. I dug through my boxes to find the old cassette player I used in college for some film project. I put in fresh batteries, slid in the tape, and pressed play. The hiss of static came first, then her voice. My mother's voice, soft, shaking, she was crying. "Tom," she said, "if you found this, it means I couldn't live with the secret anymore. I always told myself you were better off not knowing. But maybe I was wrong." I sat frozen, staring at the cassette player as her voice went on. She started describing that night in 1998, the night my father disappeared. She said he never left us. Not really, that they had fought. That he found something out, something she never intended for him to know. Something about her past, before they met, and she panicked. She kept repeating, "I didn't mean to do it," over and over, like a prayer or a curse. She said he hit his head on the basement steps. That there was blood, and she just froze. She said she buried him beneath the cement, in the far corner, behind the water heater. My stomach turned to stone. I paused the tape. I ran to the corner she described. I pulled back the shelves and tools and trash, and there it was. The cement in that spot looked newer, a different shade. I could see where it had been patched. My whole body went cold. I ran outside. I vomited. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. This couldn't be real. I replayed the tape, hoping it was some sick prank. But it wasn't. She told the entire story in trembling, half-broken words. She talked about how she had nightmares for years, how she couldn't face the police, how she told everyone he abandoned us and they believed her. Because they always saw her as the victim, sweet, hard-working single mom who did everything for her son. I sat in my car for hours, tape in hand, not knowing what to do, not knowing who my mother really was. I wanted to confront her, scream at her, demand to know how she lived with this, how she looked me in the eyes all these years. But there was a problem. I couldn't confront her. She died 6 months ago. After that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing my brother's voice in my head, how broken it had sounded, how hollow. I wanted to believe him, that he really didn't kill her, but everything pointed to him. The blood, the motive, the silence. But then came the letter. It was hidden in our dad's old toolbox, stuffed between layers of newspaper, like it had been forgotten or hidden. It was addressed to someone named L, no last name. Just a simple L. The handwriting was unmistakably our mother's. I shouldn't have read it, but I did. Every word made my hands tremble. "You promised it would be quick," she wrote. "You swore she wouldn't suffer. But I saw the photos. I saw what you did. And now Jacob is taking the fall. And I can't live with it. Jacob. That's my brother." My heart dropped. I flipped the envelope. There was a date. 3 days after the murder. My mother knew. She knew Jacob wasn't guilty. Someone else did it. And whoever Earl was, they were the real killer. The problem was, I had no idea who Al could be. I started digging. Old yearbooks, Mom's journals, Dad's phone logs, anything. I was obsessed. I stopped going to work. I stopped answering calls. The only thing that mattered was the truth. That's when I found the tape. An old VHS, unmarked, shoved in the back of a closet in the attic. I almost missed it when I played it. I didn't expect much, probably an old home movie. But what I saw made me sick. It was surveillance footage, clearly taken without the victim knowing. Her name was Molly, my brother's ex-girlfriend, the girl he was convicted of murdering. In the video, she's pacing, clearly scared. She keeps glancing at the door, and then someone walks in. Not Jacob, someone older, taller. He says something I can't hear, but she backs away. The footage cuts, static, and then nothing. But it was enough. Enough to know my brother wasn't alone that night. Enough to know someone else was there. I took the tape and the letter and drove to see Jacob. Visiting hours were almost over, but I didn't care. When he saw me, he looked like hell, eyes sunken, face pale. I slid the letter across the table. He read it, said nothing. Then I slid the tape. That's when he broke. He looked at me, tears in his eyes, and said, "You shouldn't have found this. Who is Elle?" I asked. He didn't answer. "Jacob, please. I can't keep this secret for you." He shook his head slowly. "It's not me you're protecting." And then he said a name I'll never forget.
"Liam," Jacob said, barely above a whisper. It was Liam. Dad's brother. I blinked. "Uncle Liam? That's impossible. He died years ago." Jacob looked up slowly. "That's what they told you. But he didn't die. He disappeared. Went underground. Mom and Dad helped cover for him." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. I remembered Uncle Liam, vaguely. He was the kind of relative who showed up at birthdays but never stayed long. I was 10 when he supposedly died in a car crash. Closed casket. No photos. No service. I never thought to question it. Jacob continued. "Liam was obsessed with Molly. He used to follow her around, ask her weird questions. I caught him once outside her dorm. When I confronted him, he said I didn't understand what love really meant." His voice cracked. "That night, the night she died. I went to see her, but she was already gone. Liam was there. He told me to walk away, said if I told anyone, the whole family would go down. He said Mom and Dad already knew and were making it disappear. I didn't believe him. Until Dad showed up an hour later, with bleach. With gloves." Jacob paused. "They said it was better if I took the fall. That I was young, might get parole. That they'd support me. But they never did. I couldn't breathe. My parents let their son rot in prison to protect a murderer. I have to go to the police," I said. Jacob shook his head. "No one will believe you. The tape's not enough. The letter doesn't name him. But there's more, isn't there?" I asked. "Where is he now?" Jacob looked around nervously. "I don't know. But Mom used to get calls, burner phones. After she died, Dad stopped talking about him. But I think he's still out there." That night, I didn't sleep. Again. I sat in my car, staring at the tape, the letter, my own reflection. And then I made a decision. I went back to our childhood home. The house was empty. Dad had moved into a retirement facility after Mom died. But the basement was untouched. I found the old safe behind the wall panel, exactly where I remembered. I didn't know the code, but I guessed. Birthdays. Anniversaries. Nothing. Then I remembered the date of the car crash. It clicked. Inside was a stack of documents. Passports. IDs. All for Liam Carson, under different names. And photos. Dozens of them. Molly. Jacob. Me. He had been watching us. For years. And then I found it. A journal. Liam's. Pages filled with ramblings about purity, love, betrayal. Obsession. He blamed Molly for corrupting Jacob. He blamed our parents for weakness. The last entry was dated 3 months ago. He was alive.